Hi. So, when I was looking for a video about somebody like me who had a CAR T cell treatment, I couldn't find just one person who told it like it was. So, I'm going to be that person for the person that needs it like I did. Um, I'll give you a little bit of history. I'm 49 years old now. I was 24 when I was first diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, small cleaved follicular to be exact. I went through a bunch of chemo. I had a bone marrow transplant. This was August 10th, 1998 at University of Florida Shands is where I had my bone marrow transplant. It was very rough back then. It was a very difficult time because I was 24 years old. After that, the transplant had thrown me to postmenopause, so I was unable to have children, but I knew that that was a risk then. So I had the transplant, and then I was fine, and about 8 years later, it came back. Same disease, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, small cleaved follicular. They had always been worried that I would get leukemia, but instead my disease came back. Always at a stage 4, bulky disease. You could physically see my disease with the swelling and stuff. Anyways, but nobody had ever used the word cure with me, so I knew that it would be a struggle for my whole life. And once you've been diagnosed with something like that, and it was very, 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 very rough back then with the drugs that they used that were really harsh. Lost my hair 3 times. I was super sick. But, it is what it is. You do it. They were only trying to give me 5 years, they told me. And here I'm making this video for you now in 2021. So, like I said, as I was looking for somebody who would put out a video on their experience, I can't find one person who put out their whole experience out there. So I had the transplant, the bone marrow transplant. That's the only option they had for me then. It was a chance. I got sick 8 years later, and then I had 5 rounds of chemo, and that was it. And then my cancer subsided. Of course, every single minute of my life you worry. So every morning I would get up and check for lumps everywhere. Well, then 12 years later, here we are. And June of 2020, I woke up one day and found a lump in my neck. I knew right away my cancer was back. I had been under immense amounts of stress from work, just paying bills, just, living a life. And I was living in South Florida at the time, trying to sustain a house and cook and clean and work and just stressed out. Not really living as clean of a life as I should have been, food-wise or healthy-wise. But I was getting there. At that time, I had a little farm going, and I was growing organic produce and eating as healthy as I could be, but I was in a bad relationship, and that definitely added to the stress. But we won't go into that. So I found a lump June 2020. Called the doctor immediately. I was closing on my house and moving to Vermont in 2 weeks after that. There was no stopping that ball rolling. So I came up to Vermont during COVID this time. It was a crazy time. But I managed to get a good price for my house. I managed to sell my house down south for double and a half what I had paid. So I was able to come up here and pay off a property so I could relax. I didn't have to work. But when my diagnosis came in, third time, again, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma with small cleaved follicular lymphoma. Because I was diagnosed the third time, I put in for Social Security, not disability. And I was approved. So thank God for that. I was able to get coverage through the state. Thank God. And it really turned out to be the best thing. Moving to Vermont, I have the best healthcare team I could possibly ask for. I had a great care team in Miami, but thank God I moved up here, and science and technology is just, I didn't know how far it had come. So I had been in and out of the hospital for a year, the whole year I was up here, when I moved. And managed to get myself out of a bad relationship. That helped. Got rid of that. I started to heal right away. Then I was supposed to be the first CAR T cell with my specific non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, small cleaved follicular lymphoma, done at Dartmouth Hitchcock in Lebanon, New Hampshire. However, when they were prepping me for it, they had to do a genealogy breakdown, they had to do a lot of intensive bone marrow biopsies, and in that term, they found that I also had an underlying condition called MDS, which is a form of leukemia. It just is not doing anything for my health right now. It's not dormant, but it's there, but it's not hurting me right now. What had come back so strong was the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So, and it came back so aggressive this third time that I literally, at some points of the year, had weeks to live. I couldn't move. I was in so much pain. Just unbearable with the cancer just eating you up inside. And people with cancer know what I'm talking about. So they were always worried that the leukemia would come. Well, finally now it's here. So I sadly was not going to be able to be treated at Dartmouth because they hadn't been approved to treat somebody with my disease plus another disease. So I wound up coming down to Dana-Farber. And the team here is great. So the steps for the CAR T cell, then they told me the CAR T cell is actually a cure for the lymphoma. Now, like I said, I have never, ever had anybody tell me that they could cure me of all disease. So right now, they have to cure the lymphoma before they can even start to think about dealing with the leukemia. Because the lymphoma keeps, in the past year, we've done so many different treatments. I've had immunotherapy, I've had tons of different chemotherapies because the cancer keeps mutating as I'm getting the other chemo. It will mutate into something more aggressive, but still the same cancer, if you can understand that. Cancer does what it wants. You have no control. You can only try and fight back, and cancer does not start hurting you until you start kicking its butt. That's when the pain sets in. So, now, I sit in a hospital bed. I just arrived in Boston a week ago. On Wednesday, I had a Hickman line placed here for the CAR T cell. Then I had 3 days of chemo, which one of them I've had before. There's a lifetime maximum because some chemos you can't have again. You can only have a certain amount. So I've been in terrible pain. I was on heavy doses of steroids. That's actually what got me alive and here. It kept me alive, basically, because there's just days I can't move. I can't get out of bed. There's nothing. And there's not even an amount of painkillers that would help that. So, now, I'm going to try and video journal this experience, because I want it out there for other people to believe it. You know, do you believe when you have cancer for so many years that they could tell you there's a cure? Probably not, you know? I'll believe it when I see it. Where we're staying, I have a caretaker with me, my best friend. She's been taking care of me, and it's an unimaginable thing that she's done for me. And I can never thank her enough. So, hold on. Alright, so moving on. I came to Dana-Farber, and on Wednesday I had the hick line. That's what this is called, a hick line. I also have a port under my skin here because I don't have many veins. So that's usually where they take blood, give blood, do everything. But this is especially for the CAR T. So right now I had 3 days of chemo, and they gave me a 4th day of rest, and now they've checked me in. So I've been on fluids all day. I'm settled at Brigham Women's. That's in their CAR T cell, their bone marrow unit, because they share it. So tomorrow I'm supposed to get my little GMO monsters. That's what a CAR T cell is. They basically take your cells, it's a process called pheresis, and they take healthy cells, as healthy as they could get them from you, and they put them in a lab, and they reproduce the cells. And while they're reproducing, they stick these little monsters in there. They're GMOs. It's a genetically modified organism. And they put these little monsters on. You can see videos on the CAR T cell, and it'll show you. And it's amazing. It reminds me of the movie The Blob. They actually just encompass everything and eat it up, which is a miracle. Just watching the video, you can't believe science has come that far. So tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow is the day for CAR T cell. And where we were actually staying before I checked in today to the hospital was through the hospital. And not me personally, but my friend Suzanne, because I've been in bed, I really have not been able to move or walk or function. I just needed to get to this bed in here. That was the main goal for survival. And here I am. But she's been downstairs, you know, getting fresh air, walking around, talking to other people. There's a lot of people staying there through the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and that have had the CAR T cell. And she's been telling me all their stories. And I haven't been down there to meet anybody because, first, I don't want to be around anybody because I'm too delicate, and I don't have the energy to do that. But it's really amazing what the stories that she's told me. That, you know, people had weeks to live, and now they are feeling good. Like, they could go out. And I'm a girl who's always been, like, I get up and I go, 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 go. I don't stop. And, I mean, I've learned to relax now. I have no choice because my body just can't do it. So, tomorrow, I'm getting the CAR T cells back in me, my little GMO monsters. Now, they're going to have to check for neurological activity and, like, if I act the same or do the same, and my friend will be here to watch everything, hopefully, and we'll see what happens. And I'm going to try and make a video log for the whole experience until they tell me that I am cured of my lymphoma. It will be a miraculous day when that happens, because I just can't wait for pain in the body to be gone, and like I can be my normal self and do normal things. So I'm gonna take you along on this journey, and I hope this does something for somebody else, because it's definitely what I needed to see, and I haven't, because it's rough. It's a rough experience. And I hope it also helps, like, the caregivers and the family members that don't know what to expect. So just hang in there with me and let's ride it out. And I can't wait to be cured. And then I'll have a break, a long break. And hopefully in that break, with my health break, it'd be like a year maybe, or 2, after this takes place, where they'll have to deal with my leukemia situation. I'm hoping that they discover a form of CAR T that will cure that as well. Because they're saying now that I would have to have another bone marrow transplant. And I'll tell you what, it was very rough. And it's still very rough. I mean, technology's come a long way. Medications are totally different. You're not on anything for the rest of your life. But it's very rough still. It's still a rough go through it. And I'm not looking forward to that. So I would love for them to come out with a CAR T that treats my specific form. So I'm hoping and praying for that. And really, I mean, that's all I wanted to say. And like I said, I'll be video journaling as much as I can every day to see the difference, to tell you how my pain is, and to share with you what I've gone through every day, because they have to do like neurological tests just to check for stuff like that. And you know, maybe you'll see something in a video that pops out at you and it makes the difference. And that's what I want to do for somebody, is give you hope that there is a cure. And I can't believe that they actually have a cure for cancer. That's what they're telling me. So, just when you thought it would never happen, I literally had weeks to live. And tomorrow I'm getting my CAR T. So I'll bring you along. Thanks.